we'll open the meeting of the Concord Recreation Commission. First item on the agenda is approval of our minutes from February and March.
Roll call.
Do we need to do a roll call to open the
We
meeting?
have the Zoom now.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
fine, yes, we'll do a roll call. Phil Griffiths, chair.
Pete Funkhauser.
Matt sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Paul Bohm.
And Matt Boger.
Okay, and I think Daniel might be coming later.
Okay.
He may be on his way.
Can I just say real quickly, congratulations to Paul? And there might be a whole little thing at the end, but you're staying well informed in Concord and it's good.
Thank
You
you.
are an impressive individual and
Thank you.
congrats.
I'm so glad the campaign is over.
Well, good things for Concord.
No, it's great. Thank you.
I bet you are.
Thank you all voters out there, whoever you are.
Pay attention to the rec commission when you move up.
All right, on that note, we'll go from the sublime to the mundane.
Yeah.
Approval of minutes of February and March meetings. So we haven't had the ability to do that. Anybody have any questions or comments on the minutes that were circulated by Maggie a few days ago?
My only comment about the public hearing that we held at town hall is that I'm impressed with how smoothly it went. And I went in there anticipating it might be a lot of heated controversy. And there wasn't. I don't know whether that's because my ears are plugged or because people have kind of come around to an understanding of what's involved. It was.
Yeah, I mean, editorial comment, I think a lot of people recognized what the options really were and what was going on. And there was a lot of conversations happening beforehand amongst parties to make sure everybody knew what was going on before the meeting, which I think helped. So yeah, I think it did go. It did go well. Considering we had a bunch of people here beforehand, you can understand why we thought it might be a little more heated than it was, but I think everybody understood what was up.
Well, kudos to you, Phil. And I think it's good that people came and voiced their concerns. So, open and transparent is what we're all about. And you let everyone speak to their heart's content, which I think was great.
Yeah, it was a strange organizational challenge to figure out how and what to do with that project. And so we all worked together as a team. So thank you. Any other comments on the minutes? Paul, anything you?
Yeah, they're great.
All right, on that, we'll accept a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. Next item, a commission vacancy. The esteemed member, Mr. Bohm, I presume will be moving off of the Recreation Commission, and accept his new position on the Board of Selectmen.
Right, that's as of June.
As of June, so okay.
If we have a meeting in May, I'll be here.
We need, we've had some sort of conversations about it. It's time to check in whether anybody has any people that they know of, and we'll have to start a process recruiting. Diversity would be a really important thing to bring to this board, a little bit more diversity in many ways. So I ask everyone to think about whether they know people. I know the staff also have been thinking about people that spend a lot of time here at the recreation and have primarily, I would be interested personally in people who have children involved in the programs. I think the elderly folks involved are represented well amongst us here. But I think any, families with kids involved in anything we can think about it. So
Let me just say something. So the select board has had a lot of discussions about administrative policy 10, which is how committees are appointed. I propose this discussion. I think we should publicize it and make it known to the general community. So we seek volunteers. I mean, we can go out and recruit people, and that's one way of finding people. But I think we should let it be known. Now, how we let it be known is another issue.
That's a very good idea. Can we write a letter to the bridge?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They publish letters, so we don't even have
The
to
bridge
ask them
doesn't-
to do an article about it,
The bridge does announce vacancies from time to time. I'm not sure they do that regularly, but
I think that's a good
I wouldn't
idea.
hurt for the chair to write just a short note.
And do we do a regular mailing to people on our, like an email blast to
We
people,
can do
families that
a
are signed?
constant contact,
Yeah.
which is our email blast, and we can also do social media. We can come up with a little social media and hit it on Facebook and Insta.
I think we should do as much as we can,
Okay.
in addition to what you talked about, like finding recruits.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. We should then probably think about a timetable for doing that.
So,
May,
Yeah, why not? I mean,
Yeah, why
if we
not?
send out a letter, we could have a letter into the bridge. I don't know what their deadline is for.
they're due
Publish-
Thursday. the
Sunday
week-
noon, Sunday noon.
Is it Sunday noon?
Yeah.
And then it comes out the next
It's
Thursday?
Friday. Well, Thursday
Why were
online.
they telling me Thursday or something? Anyway, okay,
Yeah.
let's trust that
Just a short
Sunday.
letter.
with Thursday for.
So it's going in that May. That's right, be the April.
Announcing that
Who has time to?
they're big
look at
shoes
it?
to fill.
We can work, we can work on that. We could have something in the Friday, that's April. Can't even read my own calendar here. We'd have something in the paper for May
First,
second,
second,
yeah, Friday, May
And I
second.
think you'd set an example for the other committees and commissions, because I don't think anybody's done this, although it's very desirable to kind of.
A constant contact blast and a social media post of some kind.
we'll schedule those for May second and
Yeah.
all around
And
together.
then we'll say, you give people, I don't, 2 weeks to tell us they're interested, so by mid-May, let us know by mid-May if you have an interest. And we'll point them to the right direction for the formal process.
Submit a volunteer card, that's the
Yeah.
entry.
Yeah, whatever the formal process is, we'll put that in, because I know it goes to Carrie's office,
Okay, sounds good.
right?
So who will do that letter?
I'll work on that. Does anybody want to see a draft of it, or is it?
No.
Yeah, okay, I will work on that with that. I think this.
And I did have one other thought, there are all these very volunteer sports committees in town. And I wonder if we could just drop a line to them, 2 or 3 of them, because they know lots of people who are parents, kids.
Sure, we can send a note out to the friends.
Well, Daniel's part of that whole
Yeah.
system, so Daniel
So
should
maybe
be.
he could help us out there then. He may know 2 or 3 people just saying, hey, there's an opening. Do you anybody in your group that might be interested?
I think it's a good idea.
I got that. And the social.
Great. Yeah, I like, Paul, I think your comment that set an example, I think it's a good way to do it. It helps. All right, next item on the agenda, nomination of Recreation Commission to the Select Board's Land Use Study Subcommittee. And I sent this round to everyone if they had an interest. Paul, I don't think is eligible.
Not through this. Yeah, I got the 2229 thing to.
Yeah, you've got a lot of other things to do. Pete suggested he was
I
not.
just don't feel qualified, for land use. That's not my thing.
Matt and Dan, I didn't hear from you. I don't know if you have any interest.
Try to remember the resume of some individuals who have a lot of environmental and land use.
I knew you were gonna come up with that.
Like your experience on the state and community level would
I'm
be
gonna regret the
great
fact
for
that I have a
this.
master's in city and regional planning, and then this committee comes around.
Yeah, I think it's ringing your bell, my friend. I think it's ringing your bell. You represent us well.
I would like to nominate Phil Griffiths.
I second that nomination.
I do have an interest in serving on that. It's actually stuff that I have an interest doing. I'd be happy to do it, but it ties into the next agenda item, which means if I step up to do that, I think I'm gonna step down as the chair of the Recreation Commission, because I don't have the time to do both of those with Augusto. It's gonna be a lot of lift on that land use committee. And I think it's appropriate to circulate the chair of these commissions around. Anyways, I've done it for 2 years now. I think it's time to move it along. I will be happy to stay on and participate and assist a new chair in any way that I can. But I would step down, I think, as chair, to accept that position on the land use committee.
Would you be the chair of the land use committee?
No.
No, you would, okay.
It would have to be elected by the committee when they're formed.
I'll choose a chair. Yeah, I would not, I don't intend to seek that nomination, and if nominated, I shall not serve, but we'll
And
possibly.
I think Mary wants to form that up in May, soon.
Yeah, no, I think so. So I think it's time, and and probably the idea of new chair, we ought to get some new
Yeah.
people on the board and do those simultaneously and see if there's someone with new blood who wants to.
I know somebody sitting in a chair.
Yeah. How many people can this committee have? Because I think this would be a good time to increase. Is there a set number of 5 or 6, or is there a ceiling? We don't want to be too big because we want people to be able to participate, but to have a a robust.
Let's see if it's in the
I was
chart.
gonna phone a friend.
Phone a friend,
and
yeah.
try to
Yeah,
point
let me just
to
look at
Jeff.
There's a set,
to
there's a
some-
set number. How do you change that set number? I think the select board appoints the rec commission.
I believe it's just the town manager. I don't
Is it
believe it
town
comes
manager?
up to the-
Administrative code, no.
Yeah.
So Carrie, how would one expand the
Here we go.
size of the commission?
5 members appointed by the town manager,
Five.
staggered
Yeah,
3-year
so
term.
The meeting charges or committee charges are set by the select board, even the ones that are appointed by the town manager. So if there's nothing in the charter, which I don't think there is, it would be a select board, a recommendation to the select.
I think it would be A, finding the right candidates, B, this push to get more people involved would be wonderful. Even if we can't do it, we could, I mean, these are public meetings, we could even have like a. Almost, I think the more people involved, the better.
I agree, again, with the land use opportunities and the recreations plan, I think.
And you'd still stay on the committee.
That's my intention.
Yeah, yeah,
I just
good,
don't
okay.
think I can serve as chair if I'm gonna do this other.
We,
I'd be left.
it might not hurt to take a look at this, if the administrative code is what they're calling the charge for the commission, it was last updated March of 1982. I
think-
just sent you the link, Phil. so you
The
have it.
administrative code to charge, I don't.
Maybe we need to find someone who was born in 1982.
Sorry, it was revised.
Oh,
in
21, okay, all right.
2021. Although it
That's
still
not too
needs an
bad.
update, because it still refers to the deputy and. It does mention the 5 members, so if we wanted to make a recommendation, it would have to be changed, but yeah.
So I would say even if, once we do this push, how many people get in, how many people apply for it? We can fill those 5 and then have some people, yeah. No, make more involved.
Oh, hi, I
How are
thought
you
you were
guys?
starting at 6:30, sorry.
Oh,
That's all right, we're into the meat and potatoes of our agenda for the moment.
But to your point, I think if this is publicized, I think you're likely to get several very qualified individuals and.
I suggest let's get ourselves up to 5.
Yeah, right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Get ourselves up to
Right.
5, and if there are many others, that 5 can pick a chair and decide if they want to expand, but not
I
opposed to
guess we
it.
could have auxiliary members or something like that.
Yeah,
But now that I think about it, you look at the scope of issues that we cover and the importance of what we do. It wouldn't be silly to have 7 people on this committee. I think if a committee of 7 would functions well, and it's not too many people. And that would give us more
Yeah.
resources up here to deal with the issues that we have.
Yeah,
I'd be in favor of moving in that direction if we find the right people.
but I don't know if there's a question or not, but I'm thrilled to participate in this in any capacity. That's.
all right, well, let's see,
But I think that
See how many
two
people we get.
parallel issues, the getting more members and seeking to expand the commission. If we want to seek to expand the commission, we don't have to wait.
Right.
We just have to understand what the process is to do that.
And again, I don't want to advocate for myself, but I think having someone who is brand new to jump into the chair is not a great thing. So I would have interest if there was a vote or something, but I'm looking forward to meeting, getting more Daniel more involved as well. But I do think also that, a rotation's a good idea, like George Washington. It was like, I'm serving terms at 2 years and have someone kind of learn from each other and have the individual whose chair still stay on. I think that's a good historical information.
Well, I do think most committees do rotate the chairs.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, sometimes every year.
all right, we'll update our membership in the Society of Cincinnati.
There we go. Love it.
Just in terms of that, so I will serve as chair till we get to the next meeting and have some new members. And hopefully we'll have some new members and be able to move on from there at the next meeting, which will be in May. Do we have?
Yes,
Okay, we'll get to the end.
We don't have
we don't have a date.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't want to belabor the point, but if you're looking to expand the role and you have multiple new members, wouldn't you want, it's a chicken egg thing. You want to expand it so you can select new members? Do you want to select a new member and then expand? Or how do you want to proceed?
I think we should get back up to the number of 5, select a new chair, take it up with that group as to whether we want to expand and then take it on. Otherwise, I think we're gonna get out of sync with something if we're not careful.
Okay.
Anybody, the next item on our agenda is the discussion of the recreation chair role and responsibility, which I think we might have a handout.
So to
This
be
is the
clear,
Doug White,
we are just,
next item.
we would just
No,
be,
we're on-
Sorry, we're just gonna
Yeah.
talk about the role, just pass those out anyways, pass those out for the next item. Discussion of the recreation chair role and responsibility. Well, oftentimes it's, you know, the clear one, formally running a meeting and working on the agenda and scheduling with the staff, but there are also other opportunities to interact with other board chairs on a monthly meeting, which I have never been able to attend, and Paul has done on our behalf. Because it conflicts with my carpool driving in the morning. And then there are other committees as, you know, needed, and the town manager has asked us to work on other projects, and so there are, it's other duties as assigned that come up. But there's nothing beyond sort of what you would understand to be the normal, well, there's no ex officio appointments or anything like that. That are the responsibility of the chair.
But you do represent the commission on special projects like the Doug White and.
Yes,
so
as I
those
said,
things-
there
those things may come up.
are special projects that come up,
Yeah.
but there's no sort of
Oh,
official.
just the chair's breakfast is a really interesting meeting. And it's an opportunity for the chair of this and other commissions to kind of understand what's going on in the town.
Yeah, I would like to participate.
Yeah, no, no.
I've never been able to do it in those early morning hours. All right, any questions about that chair role? We're all in agreement, then we'll go execute our recruitment strategy and notification, then we'll get a new crew on and identify a new chair and then take up. the-
so we're recruiting just for one position then right now, Paul, right? And then
Correct.
from that, then we'll see what we want to do for expanding. And the other individuals who apply doesn't mean they can't come and participate.
Absolutely.
And electing a chair, we're recruiting for that position and then electing a chair for the.
Great.
Okay, the next item on the agenda was closing.
That'd be done in May, both of those?
I don't know, it depends on the.
Depends on the
Yeah.
response. If we have,
Response.
you know, if we don't get a response and aren't able to fill that seat, we'll continue as a
So
group
you'd
of
stay on. the
four.
chair, Yeah.
and cross that bridge when we get there.
We can fill the seat, I almost guarantee.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get to that. Next item is closing out, project we've been working on for some time that with the answers to the questions fielded from the Doug White field public comment. We circulated around, comment. Thank you to Maggie for her notes that came around. I think the consultants did an excellent job at the public meeting, providing a lot of information. There were a lot of questions and answers. This document attempted to answer all of those questions that were raised that we could not answer on the spot with the consultants there. I think we did a pretty good job of identifying all the questions that were asked. I don't know if Henry Fritz has any specific questions about anything that's on here that are appropriate to sort of submit it into the public record as the responses to questions. We have the honor of having the town manager with us. I don't know if there's any update on the project you want to share with us, Barry. Since
Are these the minutes of the?
these are not the minutes, these are not the minutes of the meeting, these are responses to questions.
So these would be attached.
Attached.
Attached to the minutes. Was, okay, right.
So I think the one significant update on the project is it is out to bid.
Hmm.
And the bids are due on Monday, May 5th. And we did run that concurrent with the process of collecting responses to the questions in order to meet the timetable. It's very important for the school in particular to have this project done by mid-August. If it goes much later than that, then it causes a significant issue with their fall sports programs. And so we are making every effort to be able to meet their timetable. So that's why we put the project out to bid. It is out with the request for a bid on the crumb rubber infill with an add alternate for the shock absorbent pad. And we put that in as an add alternate because if it was part of the base bid and we decided that we didn't have the funding for that, then we'd have to reject all of the bids. So this way we can accept the shock pad if it fits within the budget. And that decision really is something that we're leaving with the Friends of CC Fields. They are right now running an additional fundraising campaign to see if they can raise some additional funds in a very short period of time. We do expect that they have sufficient funding for the base bid plus a contingency for the base bid, but we'll know more in a very short period of time.
Yeah, and I think I think by the time we got to the public meeting, I think most people understood the importance of the timing of what was going on and not missing recreation season. I will add one more comment, and I'm sure many of you others did as well, got a fundraising email from the Friends of Concord Carlisle Field, and I noted that it had in there a section about, we're also raising money as our sort of good faith down payment on the next piece of the puzzle. So they recognize that this is an ongoing commitment from them, and in 10, 15 years, whatever that timing is, the same questions will be around. The landscape will have changed in terms of how and where these things can be recycled, who the new manufacturers are, but they have all along understood that they're in this for the long term. And I know that probably the project team will continue to negotiate with them on a new document or an agreement document of some kind that spells out how all that will work. And while they continue to do fundraising, but
So that email, I don't think it was from the Friends, it was from the youth soccer group. See, wasn't it? The one I got was from,
that was from the Friends of the Concord Carlisle Fields.
doesn't matter.
I think the leadership of the Friends and the leadership of the youth soccer are the same. Yeah.
It was curious though, this shows about 200K for the shock pad. They were estimated it would be 500K for the shock pad, so. I don't, it doesn't bother me that they're trying to.
I think they know there's a contingency and
confuse a few people because
with
people are gonna read
costs
this.
of various things and
I know.
material. I think they're being wise to build as big a cushion as they can.
Understand.
And they've all along said, if we spend a little more, can we make it go faster? I mean, they really want to make it happen. And the bid, I went out with all of the requirements that we could put in there for recycling and all the best, requiring the sort of the best practices that we could get and all of that. So I think it's, congratulations, Karen, to your team for pulling that off and getting it out. We'll have more congratulations come August if we get it all done.
Just remind me in the summer, so that there's some soccer camps up there, so it doesn't affect the Concord Rec, but what happens I feel like that those fields are used during the summer, is that right?
I might be able to answer that a bit.
Okay.
I can't answer it specifically because I'd have to reflect on the schedule, which I don't manage. Lee Jackson, rec director. But I will tell you that they felt very comfortable with moving around the programs in the summer. They feel very uncomfortable with the fall being impacted because it's big. And so that's kind of where we are. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Do we have an estimate of how long after the bid's accepted, how long the project would take? I know we want it to be done this summer. Is that reasonable, feasible, practical?
Yes. And I wish I had Jess, I don't know if you have the easy access to the timetable.
I think I do.
But my recollection is based on the current timetable, we're looking to have, I think, beneficial use is what they're calling it on August 1st.
Oh, wow.
Based on the best case scenario. And on the outside, it's another 30+ days.
Still pretty good.
It's moving very fast.
Revised milestones.
It's a tight window. There's not a lot of room for error. But they
Bid documents complete April 11th, bid period April 16th to May 9th, bid review and award May 9th to May 16th. Pre-construction conference, May 23rd, construction phase, June 9th to August 1st.
That's first.
Yeah, so we've pulled that forward just a few days. But there wasn't much room to pull it forward, but we did just a couple of days. So the Friends of CC Fields will be coming before the select board on Monday, May 5th to make the donation. So the full cost of the project, they are donating to the town.
Hmm.
And the town has to have that in hand in order to sign the contract. So that's happening on May 5th.
All right. Thank you very much. Next item, thank you, Carrie. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
The next item is from the director, presentation of the FY 26 enterprise and revolving fund budget. In
Yes.
comparison to FY 25.
Okay, thank you for some time. I have put together a document for you all to reflect on and look at while I talk to you about the budgets. I just wanted to make sure I took an opportunity to share with you what we're doing for the revolving fund. Before I pass this out, you might start looking at it for the revolving fund for FY 26. And so the revolving fund, as you may or may not remember, but I'll state it for the public, really covers everything we do outside of hunt recreation. And the enterprise fund, which I'll present second to you, that really handles everything at Beatty. Okay, they're both zero balance budgets. And so we have been working diligently on putting together the budget. And I'm going to give you a high level information. I was going to say presentation, but it's really just information for you today. I do want to note that on May 1st, we will be presenting our budget to FinCom. And so, oh, I need one of those. Thank you. To FinCom. And so if you wanted to attend to show support, I wanted you to have that, that date. So what I'm gonna do is just walk through, like I said, this presentation, and I can answer any questions that you might have, as long as they're at a high enough level. I have some information that I have brought with me here.
Just before you jump into it, so this is a proposed budget that goes before the FinCom
FinCom, and then ends up at town meeting.
and then ends up at town meeting.
Now, there's no vote for revolving, so I don't know if we'll actually be able to show the revolving fund at town meetings. We haven't been told yet, but the enterprise will go up for a vote at town meeting. Okay.
There's no warrant article associated with this.
The enterprise fund, there
The
is.
The
enterprise
enterprise, but not the
fund is-
revolving fund.
No.
Right.
But I think last year we presented both, at least at the FinCom public hearing, because there was interest from FinCom in hearing about the revolving account, particularly since there's been the chatter, you know, historically about, oh, the balance has gotten too big and we've made steps, Lee's made steps.
No, I agree. I think explaining the revolving.
I would love to
Yeah.
be able
To
to
the public.
present both. That's what my
Yes.
intention is.
I think it's
Exactly.
really good.
That'll
idea.
be for the first, yes, town meeting floor, it'll just be article, whatever it was
51
51
or
last
something
year, I
like
don't know
that,
what it is
yes.
this year, I have to look up the warrant.
So let's roll through this together. So, so on the first, obviously is Hunt and some of our fields and the pool there on that first slide. But if you go to the, FY 25 accomplishments, I'd like to highlight some of our accomplishments, for FY 25, and then I'll go into our goals for FY 26. Of course, we set our goals and accomplishments. We present them as part of the reason it's a budget, goal. So just wanted you to know that. So the FY 25 accomplishments, we hosted a social emotional training for our 18 full-time staff. We also invited 5 additional members of the Human Services Department. And all in all, they were grateful for that training. We sent 5 full-time staff to the regional Massachusetts Park and Recreation Spring Conference. And this gives them a time to meet, of course, other people that do similar jobs, and go to workshops as well. This is an effort to really focus on quality. As you know, is one of our goals here. It was last year and it will be again. We really want to make sure that everything we do is of high quality. So this is our effort to make sure that we stay relevant and kind of amiable, and change programs as there's different needs. So that was great. Myself, I went with DJ, as you know, our assistant director, and a rec supervisor we took to the National Park and Recreation. That was phenomenal. We went in October, and it was a 3-day affair, I believe. Of all directors and commissions were present at the national. I want to bring that up as maybe an opportunity in the future, but it's a phenomenal conference. 20,000 people go to that conference. It's a real opportunity to hear how people are solving problems regionally and nationally, the same problems we have here today as well. We also sent a supervisor to the American Camping Association. As you know, summer camp is one of our biggest and I think fondest programs for a lot of families in the area. And so we take special effort to send our camp director to that training each year. So that was Sam this year. And actually a few other employees went as well. As a bonus, we got some free passes there, and it was local, so it was wonderful. We also developed we're executing our first nature camp this summer. This is a test for future years in hopes that we can successfully run this 2-year nature camp that we've been preparing for a few months now, and we're going to execute it this year and hopefully grow it in the future.
Is that separate than the regular camp?
Yeah, you can
Oh, wow.
sign up for regular or nature.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I think this is a real opportunity for us to tie in our relationships and partnerships with oars in the future and grow a program that's really robust and really strategic and well thought out. And so I'm excited about this nature camp.
How did the signups go?
I think Mickey might know.
I think there's 9, that we set the max at 15. I think there's 9 right now registered. It's just 1 week.
Oh, it's not 2 anymore. Okay.
No, it's just week 9, which is the final week of camp where we usually have limited registrations anyway, because a lot of staff are going back to school. So this is an alternative for grades 3 and 4.
Thank you, Maggie. And so we added a sports camp. We're adding a tennis camp, I believe, this year, which is new for us. We've added a requirement for our vendor applications starting in 2025 to include a requirement to have a financial assistance program. So this is an effort for me to line up with the town goals of equity and to support that. We took it all the way down to our vendors and really asked them to take part with us to support people who are in financial need through their programs as well. And so that effort is underway, and I'll tell you that it's going very well. A lot of our partners were, most of them, very eager to support in terms of funding people who had financial need and wanted to participate in a vendor program. So that's going very well.
So what kinds of vendors are these that you're talking about? Like,
All of our vendors. So we operate enrichment programs. We operate sports programs through our vendors. So on the mark archery, mind.
The most popular is probably the musical theater experience.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a vendor program.
Yeah, so there's about
Kids Test Kitchen.
15 or 20.
Okay.
We're teaching, yeah. So there's many. I'm sorry I didn't bring a list. I can provide it to you in the future if you'd like it though. So that's going well. And then obviously we've hosted the 250th celebration. We helped out a lot. We tried to do a fun run this year in support of the 250th. We just decided yesterday to cancel that event, but we gave it a good go. We saw lower registration, and given what's happened in our community in the last few days, we figured it was probably the best thing to do rather than to promote a family fun run at this time. Boy, did we ever commit ourselves to the 250th. And I want to thank Maggie here for building the credentials. As she was jokingly saying, this was a good effort to help out Donna in credentialing the whole event. And that was a lot of fun. And of course, we helped for the Department of Public Health. I don't know, we've spent several days in the field supporting this event, getting everything ready from the toilets to the foods and helping court with the volunteers. And we did an awful lot of work. And so I'm very proud of the work that the staff have done. So those are our accomplishments for.
I would add that to your, if this is this slide going before the FinCom?
No, not likely.
Okay.
No, I did just get the format from Jess and it's not, I don't think the accomplishments are in there from last year, but thank you. If you would recommend I put it on there, I
would-
appreciate that.
I'd spell out how much we did for the 250th.
Yeah,
I think
it was
you guys
it was
did a lot
awful
of work.
lot.
A lot
It
of
was
that stuff you
wonderful.
could talk about like in the notes section.
Okay.
Yeah, however,
We'll
just-
work on that.
yeah, just don't overlook that one. It's something that everyone should recognize that we played an important role in the success of that.
Put that one on the top.
Okay, there you go. Maybe put that
Quick
one
side
on
note,
there.
do we have an estimate on how many people attended the 250?
I don't. I heard I heard a few different comments as I was out and about that day, but I'd hate to
Yeah, I
give the
haven't
wrong
heard
number.
anything.
We were talking before you came in.
Um,
It was 80,000.
Yeah, I heard
80,000?
75, so
70, 40.
80, yeah.
Okay,
So you
that's
heard
amazing.
50.
Less than 100, more than 50.
There we go. Bigger than a bread box, like it, yes. I was round up.
Well, it's tough too, because people went to different things. Like there was a lot of people, I think, that came to the parade, then probably pieced out of town, either for
Yeah.
the holiday weekend or school
Throughout the whole
vacation.
day,
Yeah,
right.
and then some people came in just for like the evening, you know, it was,
We had 5 out-of-state visitors who came just because of the event, so.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was our pleasure. We really enjoyed it. It was a great team building opportunity for all of us, I think, so. Thank you, Maggie.
I think we had every state trooper on Route 2.
We did.
So many state trooper cars.
Yeah. All right, moving on, for the sake of time here, FY 26 goals, these are our budget goals, and we're gonna increase our fill rate. We got a little more specific here. We're gonna increase our fill rate by 10%. By June 30, 2026. That's it's almost a Herculean effort. I hate to say it that way, but we do so well that to increase, our fill rate. This is a big effort in data analytics for us that we haven't dove into before, dived into before. So this is new for the staff here, but I think we're gonna hit it.
Explain what fill rate is again.
So fill rate is if we offer a course and it has empty seats, it's not full. So we want our fill rate to increase. So we're looking at our classes that are low registrations, we'll drop those and we'll add something that's of more interest to the public. But the ones that we're gonna run, we're gonna fill those seats. So we want our fill rate at 100%. And so what we've done is, of course, analyzed all the programs and set a higher target. So it's a good amount of work, but that's what we're doing.
Does that fill rate transfer to 10% more revenue?
No, not really, maybe,
Maybe?
depends on the
Depends on-
supplies.
yeah.
Right, depends on the supplies and depends on where it's offered, whether the indirect costs are impacted or not, and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So-
some generate more revenue than others.
Right, and some generate more than others, right? So
Should there be a revenue goal?
I like it. I like it. Well, think about it for next year, for 27. How's that? Okay,
Somebody will ask you the same question,
okay, I like it.
especially FinCom.
Yes.
They will
Okay.
ask you the same question.
Okay. The next goal is we're gonna create a formal financial sustainability model for the revolving fund. This is my pet project that I have undertaken in my mind since I started here. But we have to have a financial sustainability model for recreation. I hope you're all in agreement. We are a zero balance budget. We need a long-term plan and a short-term plan, right? So we are creating a financial sustainability model. We have kind of started this work already by going to, I just sent myself, DJ, and Jenny, the GM over at BD, to a cost recovery masterclass. We will be doing the work over the course of 2026, so I'm excited about it. We are gonna host at least one department-wide training in line with the town goals by next year, by June 30, 2026. We're gonna support equity initiatives by offering at least $30,000 in financial assistance by June 30, 2026.
The last time we talked about the revolving fund, there was the concept of funds would go to public works for maintenance and
Right, that's the
programs.
transfer to general
That's the
fund.
transfer general funds.
Yeah,
And then there might be available funds for capital projects within the,
I have all of our capital projects that we approved here. That's from our retained earnings, if you want to reference it for what we put in there. Is that what you're asking?
well, just in the revolving fund budget.
There's a revolving fund balance.
The balance,
That's where the capital comes from,
okay,
right? And we have a zero balance for our budget
Yeah.
that we submit. The actuals might be different.
so the
And any
retained earnings,
yes,
so the retained earnings are in here?
the retained earnings are not in there. It's about 4 million. That's
That's
used,
cumulative or?
yeah, it's for capital. That's what it's used, we're using it
So
for.
what's added per year to those retained earnings?
Well, we budget for
Yeah.
nothing to be added.
Yeah,
It depends. On a good year, we might actually have a little bit of revenue, but the intention of a revolving fund is for it to be zero balance,
Right.
which is why we submit a zero balance budget. I hope that
but
helps.
in the past few years, it's been.
There's been
retained
a little bit of retained earnings.
So it probably will be some, you can't, you're not predicting those.
Correct.
That's what you said. Okay.
So a couple of comments. This is more for sort of when we present this to FinCom and we talk
Yes.
publicly about this. We tend to think about it in terms of what we did on this one budget, like what this part of the budget funded and how we did that, but I think we miss some of the highlights here that we should talk about. The very fact that you did spend a lot of time working with CPW to figure out a formula to how you're gonna transfer funds to them to support. That's an important thing for the FinCom to understand, right? It may not be a budget specific thing,
Sure.
they should know that, because you spend a lot of time, and that's an important step, because it took a lot of variation and unknown out of what we do with them, and it's an
Absolutely.
important thing, so I would absolutely mention that.
Okay, note to self.
And I think you should also, did we finish the strategic plan in FY 25?
Yes,
That should be on there, that we came out, well, that came out as an accomplishment,
okay.
Well,
I think it was 24. Let me look. I will look.
If it was in that fiscal year. You also did a 5-year capital plan.
It was in my last year's goals, but I'm gonna verify that.
You did a 5-year capital plan, right?
Yeah.
Which we haven't had in a long time. That should be, it's, I know that's a capital budget issue, but
Yeah.
people should understand this pays for staff time, and what does
Yes.
staff spend their time doing? We
Yes,
came up with a 5-year capital plan. We've worked out with the Public Works Department how to fund their work maintaining fields, et cetera. We
sure.
completed the strategic plan. Those are all really big nuts and bolts things, and FinCom should know about those.
Okay. If I get a chance, I'm gonna tell them.
And on your FY 26 goals as well,
Yes.
we have a couple of capital projects
Yes,
in line to
Yeah.
do whatever we're gonna do on the pool, whatever we're gonna do on ride out,
Ride out.
whatever we're gonna do on Giroux Park with the CPC money.
Yeah.
So all of those should be in our FY 26 goals, because those are the big picture things people are gonna remember.
okay.
These are important. FinCom needs to know nitty gritty numbers like this, but
I'll add
we
that.
should add those big pictures.
I will add those. Thank you. That's very good advice. I appreciate it. Okay, so flipping over, this is what you're looking at now is the revenue FY 25 versus FY 26. Pay no attention to, well, you can pay all attention. At the top of it is a description, and then it runs down the column of description of different revenues we accept here at Recreation. You see, last year's FY 25 proposed and FY 26 proposed. We always write them as proposed, obviously, even though it's not voted at town meeting. It is submitted to the finance team, and of course, finance can change it. So that's why it's the language that we use. But obviously, we're proposing more revenue against last year. Last year, $2,947,000 was proposed for revenue. This year, it's gonna be $3,163,000. And I'm gonna walk through some areas that have changed, just at a high level, so you can know what areas of revenue we expect to go up and down. So if you flip the page over.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
It says transfer from general funds. Is this the public work? Is this where we talk about?
No,
What is the transfer from general fund?
that actually, you see it's blank. The transfers from special revenue, or did I miss? Oh, at the top, that's blank too, transfer from general fund. General fund used to support recreation. And I think in the past few years at various levels, at this point now, starting in 2024, it was our first year to be 100% fiscally responsible for ourselves.
I always thought it was transferred to general fund.
I know the wording gets a little funny. So we do transfer out now to general fund. General fund no longer transfers in. So effectively, these line items that you see that are blank should come out in the future.
So the transfer for maintenance to public works, is
That's
that?
an expense, not a revenue item. So you'll see it later.
Oh,
In this,
okay.
in this presentation
Got it,
I'm giving
got
you
it,
right
got
now.
it,
So
got it.
this is just revenue.
Thank you.
All right, so if you flip the.
And not to belabor,
Oh.
that's something that should be brought up to the FinCom. This is the first year we had a budget that did not require a transfer from the general fund.
Yeah, 24,
Is that true?
Twenty-four
FY 24 was,
last year, salaries.
Yeah.
24.
And FY 25 did not require that.
no money in 24 or 25.
I think that should be noted.
Okay, I'll write a
People
note.
don't start to think about putting their hands on on this fund for other things again. We are now
100%.
100% funding ourselves and are not getting a revenue from the general fund.
We are a relief on the general fund, actually. That's how I.
It would
look at it.
collapse without our efforts.
Yes. Okay, moving forward, I'm trying to save time, but yeah, slow me down if you'd like.
This is important though.
Okay, so FY 26 versus 25 revenue changes, the next page. You'll see on the left-hand column is decreases in revenue, and then you'll see in the right-hand column increases of revenue. This shouldn't blow your mind. This is just, the rentals. Actually, let me just pause and say, I'm gonna ask for some grace here. Last year, I think I had 24 hours to put together the budget. Literally, I was hired. I had 24 hours and it was due.
It was that much.
And I had never done it before in my life or looked at it. So this year, what I did was I took my time and I studied it. And I made some changes that may not reflect directly in how people will see our programs run, but are more true to fact. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that, and that goes for both the revolving and enterprise budgets that you'll see.
So don't be alarmed if the number seems high. It's probably just me getting it right. The revenue decreases we did find for rentals indoor is that, in FY 25, the rentals were set too high, so I needed to decrease the revenue expected for indoor rentals. And that is mostly Hunt Gym. From time to time, we get the indoor classroom rented space, but it's really the gym. For outdoor rentals, the same. We just needed to get it closer to actual, so we'd see a decrease in revenue of 20,000. The revenue increases we made, are White Pond. We expect another 18,000 in White Pond versus FY 25. Our program fees went up slightly, so we do expect 62,000 more revenue coming in with our program fees. The school program fees, another increase there. We just projected it a little bit too low in 25, and so this is closer to actual, the school program fees, and that's Carousel. Carousel is likely our biggest revenue generator, at recreation. So it is a critical piece of our kind of our environment. So if we make changes to Carousel, we have to be very careful about how it impacts us financially, because it is something that it's basically our foundation. It generates the most money for us over the course of the year.
The after-school program, are those in here?
The after-school program is in school program fees. Yes, it's all in there together. But you see the total on the revenues. This is just a piece of the increase that I expect to have in 26.
I have heard through some parents that the demand for after-school program exceeds the ability to meet the
True.
demand.
True.
And is that staff limited?
I would say Carousel is currently staff limited. I would say after school is somewhat staff limited. So both here and in Brookline, it's very challenging to hire teachers. So I would say somewhat also based on the size of the room.
Okay,
So I figure in a golden day and a big wish and a big dream, we could make that happen. We would enlarge it, increase the space and capacity, and then we'd hire the teachers to match the need. Yeah, so we'll work towards that. Lastly is the 34,000 we expect more for our sports programs than we received in 25. Moving on, the next page, I think we get to expense changes. Yes. So we have some high level expense changes for you, and what you'll see at the top of the page is in the first column is just the program area. So these are non-program expenses in bold in the first column. That's our regular full-time staff, technical services, recreational services, etc. in White Pond. And what I've done for you here is just kind of giving you a snapshot of any expense change that was significant over FY 25, just so you could get a sense. So rather than talking through it, I'm going to let you read it a second on this slide. And it's the decreases are noted. Obviously, regular full-time staff were decreasing. We did do a split. We hired Maggie on as our community engagement manager. So we added her to budget formally. And then we changed some of the splits with BD. So for instance, I know you met Bob recently, Phil. He's our new facility supervisor for all of recreation. He doesn't just work for BD anymore, right? So we had to, as you can imagine, split up the salaries different. So that's that change. But I'll let you kind of walk through the rest, and then I have a question slide at the end if you have questions.
Does that equate to what, in terms of actual numbers of staff? The
Yes.
decrease is to the budget because we shifted some to the
Yes,
BD fund.
Correct.
Does it reflect a change in staff here or at BD?
no. Oh, yes, Alex. Oh, that'll be an enterprise. Sorry, there'll be an enterprise change in a minute. I still have the enterprise budget to show you. So that's BD's budget. So you'll see that a new
But
position.
overall, across all of them, what was the change? What is it? Does this propose a change in the number of staff across the whole
It just,
operation?
no, it incorporates her and it changes the
Changes the
splits.
splits. Okay.
back to my question, the public works expenses, are they?
Yeah, those are not in here because we did the same process last year in 25. But I can tell you what they are.
Please.
Oh, okay, so 99,000 goes out to CPW as a transfer, and that's just to CPW specifically. And then there's a transfer to general fund with a remaining like 44,000 or something like that. goes to general fund, and that's to support everything that the general fund supports for us. So that includes HR, we use HR services, we use facility supports, the recreation revolving fund, et cetera. So that's the other 44. But that's been happening, it happened in 25, it happened again, so I didn't note it on this. These are just high level changes, 10,000 or more is what I put on here for you.
You mentioned the test kitchen, which sounds great. Where is that located?
Where do we do the test kitchen?
We, as an after-school program that is at all three of the middle schools
Okay,
or elementary schools.
and utilizes the
The space there,
the
yes.
space there.
Yes, and it's very popular.
Great.
And the next page is a continued expense changes for you. We have a lot of categories that are new on the left. Recreation programs, summer camp, school year, sports clinics, and special programs. So those are all the categories in the revolving fund. And you can see the major decreases in expenses and then a few increases. All in all, I think, and obviously we balance, because that's the important piece for you to know, is that we have a balanced budget for 26.
It would be nice to see the expenses. You have increases and decreases, but
Yeah,
it'd be nice to see expenses.
I can
and
pass it around. I did print
You
it
have
for
it?
you. You can't fit it all on the
Oh, okay.
slide. So I did print it for you.
Yeah, that-
That's what I can pass it around.
In the parking attendant booth, that's a one-time cost, right? So you'll have that.
So that's
Following
exciting
years.
that you mentioned. So that is new for us.
Mm.
So at White Pond, you remember we had some conflict with the community at White Pond. Last year, we had Walden Pond close unexpectedly
Mm.
due to that growth. There was a bacteria growth, I
Yeah.
believe, in Walden. And so we had an enormous amount of people come into White Pond, into our little community that we didn't expect. And you might realize that caused some problems in all kinds of ways. At the top of the drive, we're gonna try out doing a parking attendant at the top of the drive, so we need a little hut. So they can stand in it from shade and things of that nature. So we're doing things a little bit different at White Pond this summer. So thank you for asking. We're gonna try to mitigate some of the.
Isn't there a limit though? Once you
congestion.
get to a certain limit, you're not allowing more people in the
Yes,
White Pond?
we have closed the pond on several
Because
occasions.
it's too
Um,
many people are there.
You know, it seems to me last year and the year before was mostly because the beach was so reduced in size too. That
Oh,
really had an impact,
Right.
more than we even expected. But this year we expect to have a bigger beach. The water has receded. We're getting sand delivered. We expect a bigger beach this year, and that'll be nice for the community.
One thing, just when you mentioned that changes at Walden Pond affect what's going on over here. They've got that major construction going on for the new bathhouse. We probably should check with the DCR with their schedule. If they're, if they're gonna be closed or
Oh, we
not
should.
open until middle of the summer. I don't know what, I
Okay.
have no idea what the schedule is, but it's a major bathhouse renovation.
Yes.
So we might wanna just note, be prepared for
Yeah.
those kind of numbers.
Thank goodness for the magnifier.
So Maggie had just mentioned she thinks it's open Memorial Weekend, but either way, I'll look
No,
into
no,
it.
we're opening Memorial Day
Oh,
weekend, so
I
if
thought maybe
Walden's
you-
not open
Yeah.
at that
Should be-
point,
you
then
might-
we might
you
have
might
a
wanna be
massive.
prepared.
I'll look into that.
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning
Yeah.
it.
I can attest to the fact, because I just used my magnifier, that this number exactly equals the revenue, so.
Yeah,
It's balanced.
Although.
Thank you for doing that.
No reading glasses.
They're not trying to get anything past us here.
The iPhone does it.
There you go. Resourceful.
It's good. See, there it is. Okay, so that's the revolving.
I'd love
fund.
to just see it if you don't mind. To do a poll.
Sorry, it's just really impossible to put on the screen. Okay,
Thank you.
So I would,
Yeah.
comment on that, I do want to, thank the staff for the hard work you guys did on some of those behind the scenes things, like a 5-year capital plan and working with DPW to figure out, how to appropriately do things and resolving some of those general fund problems. I know that was, when I came in here, those were sort of open. I know the town manager, when we first came in, said the same thing. We need to get some logic into these and some sense in them, so we don't have the same conversation based on
Yes.
people pulling numbers out of it. So it's a good piece of work, so thank you. Thank you.
cheers,
you and
thanks
the
for
staff.
help, thanks for everybody's help.
A
It
lot of work, yeah.
Yeah. was good, and my pleasure, really, we had to get that figured out. Okay,
So do you need it?
You're operating this like a real business,
I am,
and it's very remarkable.
That's my intention.
Admirable, yeah.
thank you, Paul, I appreciate that, and it's a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna pass the enterprise budget around, so you can take a look. And I'll tell you kind of my thinking into presenting this to you is very similarly big changes, anything, you know, our goals, et cetera. So let's go through our accomplishments at BD Enterprise. I'll start by saying the BD is a very difficult budget to manage. It's much more complex. I think than the revolving fund and, being enterprise, we need to be making money. We need to have money in reserves, for big things like structural issues with the building, roof issues, besides replacing all the equipment, for fitness, that's, you know, pretty expensive. And then just serving our customers day in and day out. So, we did it. We have a draft of a balanced budget. We have a little bit more work to do on it, but not much. So I'm going to present you today where we are. Our FY25 accomplishments. We integrated a preventative maintenance process for fitness equipment and the elevator, and we are installing a UV system in the lap pool in FY25, which is now, and we're actually doing the work now. We wanted to reduce the unplanned downtime for BD, and the excessive water consumption that we currently have over at BD. And so we're extremely excited about the UV project. Another accomplishment we have in FY25 is we've had 0 pool closures, due to poor water, et cetera. That was a problem back in September of 2023, but we have ensured consistent service, for FY25. So we're really excited about that, and proud of Jenny and her team. We onboarded 2 new swim aids. We established 1 new partnership, which is a big deal. It's hard to get more people in the pool. So establishing a new partnership is difficult, although it might sound easy. We're proud of them for that. We've launched 2 member challenges, 1 in December and 1 in the spring. I think they still have to execute that one. But we're launching 2 new fitness classes in FY25. And I don't have on the top of my head what they are, but I know we're doing it. So that's the accomplishments.
The one new partnership is which
Yes.
one? Sorry.
I don't have it on the top of my head. I wish I would have thought to present it, to bring it, but I don't have it.
Can you just remind me what happened with, that we were doing some work with the swimming and diving folks about replacing the
Sure, I'll be happy to.
the starting block?
It's a
That's
little
kind of
outside
part-
of budget, but you want me to do it now? I'll be happy
I
to.
mean, I think it's the kind of thing that when you talk about things that we're doing and creating partnerships with, you know, community groups who want to help fund things, it should be an accomplishment.
Yes, so we have a group called Friends of Swim and Dive, similar to Friends of Concord Carlisle Fields, who are currently seeking donations, or I think they already finished actually. They're going to be gifting us right around $90,000. They're going to gift us a product which is for the swim team, which are the dive platforms that you may have seen if you've been in BD. They need to all be replaced. They're extraordinarily expensive. They're going to gift us that product. And then we're gonna handle the install, but they're gonna give us the money for the install. So they do have to go through Jess pretty soon and get on the select board in order to ask that the gift be received. And so that'll likely take place sometime in May, I'm guessing. And then we hope to do the actual install work in our August shutdown, so that we can add that to the tally of all the things we accomplished during the shutdown, which we just like to have a running list to give to our customers. But that's a huge gift for us. We're very grateful to them. And yeah, Jenny and the Friends of have been wonderful to work with until now, and I assume they'll continue.
State champs, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so the UV system, that's a cleaning of the water, is that right?
Correct.
And is that consistently going on, or is that put in? Like, where
So
is it?
it's put in. So
Okay.
we did the RFP. We selected a vendor, and the vendor is working right now with Bob on installing the UV system. The UV system is going to be a big help to making sure that we don't shut down the pool ever for bacteria. And obviously cut down on our water usage, extraordinary amount of water usage because they have to backwash and flush more when we don't have the UV and all these things. So it's wonderful. We have one here actually for the Emerson pool already installed, but we really needed it at BD.
And so I just don't know the infrastructure. Does it stay in at all times,
It
or do you
does.
put, okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Is it on the side or the bottom? Where is
It
it?
is in the kind of the mechanical room.
Okay, all right. Well,
Yeah.
cool.
Treats the water.
Interesting, thanks.
Yeah. So our FY26 budget goals, we're gonna enhance sustainability efforts and reduce water and sewer costs by 15% compared to FY25 through the UV. The number of learn to swim classes offered need to increase by 10%. And I do hope in future years, you'll see that number go up 20%, 30%. That's what I'm doing. We need to be teaching, we need to be the champions of learn to swim. We're gonna replace and upgrade at least 3 pieces of fitness equipment in 26. And we're gonna host 2 open house events in the spring and fall to showcase all of our program options. And we're gonna collaborate with Emerson Hospital and do at least 1 other healthcare provider related wellness event. So those are our goals. And here's the nitty gritty budget stuff. For revenue, we do have a 6% increase in our budget. So you'll see the bottom line figure. And you have in front of you FY 25's budget and FY 26 draft. You'll see the difference there is 6% of an increase. So we're happy about that.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I keep harping on this stuff because
It's okay.
I do think we want to take every opportunity to tout your, the things that you have accomplished. And Matt's comments, we think about it, because you hosted a number of like regional championship swim meets and things like that.
Absolutely.
You should know, this facility is the best facility in the district, or in the region. That's why we're hosting these things. It's well run, it's done. So we're hosting the dual county leagues and what,
Okay.
I don't know what they are.
Added to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
happy
And,
to.
and we have successful swimming and diving programs in partnership, the high school. We're not taking credit for the success of the high school
Right.
program, but we provide a facility that lets them.
It is
do-
their facility, it's their main
lets them
facility.
do what they do,
So-
and we host the other, big things. That's no small accomplishment.
It's also the first year that the Otters went to travel meets.
I have to look that up. It might
I
be.
think it was.
I think we did well too.
Yeah.
Besides BU Swimming Center, I hear this is the best in the region.
So do
I
I.
heard this is a really
I'm
one.
high fiving you across the table. I heard that too.
And BU just because it's huge, so,
So I
yeah.
have friends coming from Lincoln calling me, hey, my kid's coming here to swim. Can you meet me? Just hang out, directors and other
Yeah.
locations, Newton and stuff.
Yeah, you should figure out how to
Okay.
put some numbers and names and statistics on that. But
Okay.
events hosted and big thing, because
I'll do
people
it.
should know that we're doing that.
Okay, thank you. The next page, you'll see just again, the revenue changes, decreases, and increases for revenue. We decreased, our revenue, budget for the punch pass and guest fees. I think it was just, too high in the budget from previous years, just an adjustment, and the revenue increases. Similarly, we have a yearly membership increase of $40,000. Our monthly reoccurring, I don't know if you all remember, but you voted approval for that increase of $6 in 2025, so that's gonna impact us positively in 26. Thank you. And then, this is the first year we put the Otters meet. The Otters meet cost us money and it also makes us money. So you'll see it for the first time in budget as revenue and expense. So it's a big chunk of money. And we also hope to host more birthday parties. And we're, like I said, increasing the amount of lessons that we're teaching. So we expect a little more revenue there. And then on the following page, you'll see our expense changes. And this, I gave you a percentage. I remember last year we were talking about, this gets so complicated. I think someone asked, well, what's the percent? So I've added in, I'm just gonna let you read the expense changes, FY 25 to 26. And if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. The first column is, again, the category of expense. So what you'll see in bold there, the non-program operating expenses, that's essentially all the indirect costs for everything at BD. And then we do break it down to different, I'm gonna call them sections like safety classes, fitness area. So you'll see that as you continue to look at the expenses, but right there is all the indirect costs and changes, decreases and increases.
Again, not to continue, like, I always look for the opportunities to sell what you're doing, but I think it's worth, when you look at things like 48% reduce in natural gas, water use charges, sewer use charges, you should send just a little note about that to the town sustainability committee, because I
Okay.
think they should want to know we're doing things. We installed a UV unit and we had the following reductions and what that means. They'll want to put that on their notes of things, and just a note from you to a committee, or it
Okay.
can come from me if you think that's.
I think that's a
More
great
appropriate.
idea. Let me
Falls in
write it
line
down.
with the town's conservation.
Yeah.
type stuff.
Exactly,
No
that's the
doubt.
point.
These are metrics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We don't want to be part of the bad story anymore, that I think we're right at the top there for energy use and
How did you reduce the
Water and
natural
sewer.
gas? Is it a switch over?
actually,
We're burning coal.
These first four areas, these are the numbers that I want to finalize before my presentation on May first. So I do actually need to talk a little bit more with the finance team on those, so they're not set yet. Those are the ones that might change slightly, so I can't
Are
answer
those
that
switch
yet.
over to heat pumps or switch over to electrical?
Yeah, I'm not prepared to answer that
Okay.
exactly. I'm not firm. I don't feel confident yet in that figure, but when I do, I'll tell you, and we should write a letter.
Yeah, I mean, you should,
Once it's
anytime we
finalized.
have a clear thing that we know is meeting a town objective, like the training you did for staff, when you've got sustainability issues, when you've got, you know, whatever they are, when there's a clear nexus to a town, you know, objective, we should highlight it.
Okay.
It gets in the record.
I love it. I think it's a great idea. I just noted it. So
Okay.
get in touch with you about it.
So this discussion invites my comment here. I didn't see any sustainability mentioned on the hunt side of things. Are there sustainability improvements that you can point to or
This is-
goals or?
I did send a full report, just so you know, and our alignment with our goals that I'm sharing with you today and in 25 up all the way through to the town manager. I know that Jess has them. I know that Carrie has them. We are meeting the town sustainability goals, mostly through our new sustainability model, and also through the efforts that we're making
Well, that's
at
financial
80.
sustainability.
Right. So that's kind of how we've broken it down. So I don't think we have a particular sustainability goal here at Hunt Recreation.
Energy, water use.
Yeah, no, because we don't currently. I can't think of,
This building's tough because of the age. and-
yeah, yeah.
It's fine.
I'm trying to make sure
It's
that I'm
always
racking my
cold,
brain.
Maybe we're saving on heat.
We did it a long time ago, but you're right.
I
we
bet
don't
we're
have
still
a
spending a
specific-
lot, even though the
Yeah,
building's going.
twice the amount.
Exactly.
So the pool equipment, is that the donation from the Friends Ed, or is that?
It
a
is
different-
not.
This, okay.
Yeah, it's a butterfly valve. We had to put in a butterfly valve this year. You see on the far right, you'll see some comments as to what the change is about. And then that last page, you'll see there's continued expense changes for two different categories on that last page. Safety management and aquatic programs. No decreases, just increases in expenses. But like I said, we're just about balanced. We just have to have one more meeting, I think, and then we'll have our enterprise budget balanced and ready. To put into our formal presentation for May 1st.
I'm sorry, I may miss it.
Go ahead.
The roof, the 500K,
Oh, that's outside of, that's capital.
okay.
We do have, an FY 26, if you remember, we did approve, capital budget for enterprise separately. Do I have that with me? We have the roof and the, structural in 26 in capital for enterprise.
Okay, so that's moving out of expense into capital.
Right, it's. It's,
Got it.
and that's retained, similar to,
What's the reserve fund that the BD has available?
yeah, it's about, I don't have the exact number, I think it's about 2,001,000. Something rather right now.
It's been fairly stable. in the
Yes,
last
I
few
think
years.
so. Now I've been here a year. I might have to call in a friend for the past, but as far as I know, it has been
And that's earmarked for
capital.
capital,
Yes,
so that the BD doesn't have to go to the town to. ask
correct.
for
That is our main, yes, that is a major effort that we have to always watch. It is a very, very difficult, challenging. It's not impossible. It's challenging, but we're doing it, balancing that budget and still having enough money for depreciation of equipment as well as the building and structure itself.
What's the status and the fate of retained earnings on the Hunt side? You mentioned the number. I know
It's
that,
planned out for the capital. When we voted capital,
So
it's
that-
right here.
okay,
If you want to see it, it's all.
no, I'm
planned
just
out
asking that,
for-
okay,
Yeah,
it's planned out, that's
yeah,
where it's
until
going.
2030. That's
Yeah.
where it's going. It's all planned out.
Yeah, that was the 5-year capital plan.
Right,
okay.
That we did
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, it's not up for the grabs. Correct.
No.
Unless we want to just take, we'd have to adjust, obviously.
And at a different point in our cycle, when you've got through the budget things, we'll we'll look at the 5-year capital plan
Right.
again.
Yeah,
and
if
see
you will.
what's coming off and what do we add for the out years and
Yeah.
everything needs to shift for our annual review of it, but.
Yeah. And that's it. If you have any other questions. Happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. It's great. It's wonderful to see your in-depth knowledge of it compared to when you
Yeah.
got thrown into doing it
Yeah,
last
honestly,
time.
I'm gonna do my very best.
Um,
To get at it.
It's good.
We did it though.
It's nice that we have confidence that the numbers are all being looked at
Very much.
and looked at in detail and any issues are being raised to
Yeah,
us. So,
well done.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the advice. I will try to get it into the presentation.
Yeah, we should talk about it. Maybe
appreciate it.
it's something that may be appropriate if there is a. Things we did relative to town initiatives and town, goals. Maybe that's a letter that comes from me and say, we've asked the staff to do these things and here's what we did. And then
Okay.
might be the way to do it. It doesn't need to. I'm just suggesting. that-
At least for this sustainability one, maybe we.
One sustainability thing is that we're not doing the printed brochure anymore, so we're saving.
Yeah, that was in
We're
there.
saving on paper costs.
That was here.
all of that.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
So
just
we're saving
printing
about
now for the, we definitely want to print, obviously, some for COA, but that's it. That's what we're printing for.
Yeah, I think it would be a good, we could summarize them all and sort of maybe one letter for me to the various committees, but the town has these. Objectives and goals on various, topics. We're doing our part. And, the staff have done work towards all of these things. It might be an appropriate letter to come from.
You mentioned you're presenting at FinCom on May first.
May first. I don't think we have an agenda time,
There's no,
do we yet? Jess?
No, we don't. I imagine
Like,
I'll
they
be
usually do
posting it by Friday, maybe Monday.
they usually do 7 PM.
Oh, yeah, the public hearing starts at 7. I mean, we're Article 55 this year. I did look it up. So I suspect we'll be at the very bitter end of the public hearing.
So that's the enterprise.
Yes.
Is that?
Hey, Fran, I'm gonna go upstairs.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Lee. Now we go back to our agenda of our sort of standing topics. Strategic plan initiatives, we sort of dance in and out on some of those at times. I don't know if there's any specific ones. I think we're gonna look further below at Warner's Pond Task Force in Giroux, which is a critical piece of what we're doing, the Ride Out project.
Right, it was mentioned in there.
Yeah,
for
I'm not sure if there's any other specific of strategic.
Thank you.
Any other specific of the strategic plan initiatives, we had that conversation with Delia Kay about natural resources and looking at the Blue Highway and the water access resources. We should revisit that again in the summer sometime when we have a later meeting.
Yes, and I'm happy to tell you I'm meeting with ORS this week. To keep our partnership conversation going.
It's great. I think that'd be really terrific. So I don't know if there's any other sort of strategic plan issues anybody wants to ask about, or I think there's a couple other ones that we want to jump into a little more detail. The Ride Out project. I got some emails from Maggie yesterday where motion is happening. Things are starting to move again. So I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but we got a plan back from the consultants finally, which lays out what all the options are for reconfiguring courts and things like that.
Absolutely. So we got our final from Activitas, who's the consultant we're using, submitted us a report on existing circumstances at both Ride Out and Emerson. I did include Emerson in that because we will have to make some decisions on Emerson soon. Though in our particular subcommittee that we have now, where Phil and Daniel are sitting, and several staff members, we have real focus on Ride Out. Ride Out has been, I guess, on the town's agenda for a few years now, and no work has actually taken place. So we're really kind of pulling that out, putting the microscope on it, and we need to come to some determination on how we're gonna renovate Ride Out. We do have some ARPA funds set aside, but we will get into those conversations. and
Specifically the
discussions.
courts, the surfaced courts of
Yes.
Ride Out. That's the scope of what we're talking.
So
about, not-
basketball, tennis, and yeah, and so I'm excited to get to work. Our first meeting is gonna be in June. We need May to finish our readiness for summer camp, but then we'll be ready to have these conversations starting in June, and we'll likely meet for 4 months. And then the subcommittee will bring their recommendation to the full commission and hopefully get a vote of support. And then we'll have the design, final design, because right now it's just concept, right? So final design and construction, that'll be starting hopefully in the spring. Yes, yeah, probably in the spring of next year. So that's kind of the timeline and what we're looking at.
Just drove by right out and it's highly used, like it's a treasure over there, so.
Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
beautiful,
Yeah.
yeah.
So are the courts not being used? They just need to be renovated. They are being used.
Oh, they're being.
Yeah, yeah, they're being used. Okay, right.
They're being
Just
heavily-
24/7.
Right,
There's a
okay.
huge amount of use of those.
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
I have all kinds of informal survey opinions. I'm there 2 or 3 times a day with my dog, so I
It's
see
great,
what's
it's a
going
great
on.
space.
It's
Yeah.
getting a huge amount of use.
We will have public comment, I think, at the end.
Yes.
Yes, Marie's raising her hand.
That Drew was on the agenda, was that it? What you just said?
Not yet.
We
No,
had-
that's,
Not yet. We're gonna come
And when
down.
is it on the agenda? Are we allowed to talk?
We'll do an update and then we will have some public comment after that.
Just back to strategic plan, I think the land use planning is kind of opportunity to kind of look at
Yeah.
the land use through one of the lenses of strategic plan, because we have a lot in there, which where do we do that? When do we do that? How do we do that? So
I think that's why that plan has helped the select board who want to put this committee together, recognize that,
that's why Recreation Commission.
there's a recreation commission on there, because people know that there's a need to think about that. It probably doesn't make number one on any one of these sites, but when you're moving a bunch of pieces around, maybe there's an opportunity for something to happen, so I think it's.
First draft of that land use work, we had Recreation Commission question
I
mark.
saw that.
We got it off the question mark.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, thanks. We look forward to getting down into the write out business a little more. Our select board liaison is not here. Do you get to do that, Paul? Or do you get chosen someone else
Great.
in the future? Or you probably,
If I'm the liaison,
yeah. We'll see.
do I want to be?
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know how that's assigned.
Yes,
Who knows?
welcome home.
yeah.
Our
Yeah, great.
finance committee rep is not here either, so we'll skip on that one. And then CPC, Paul, you're gonna fill us up on that.
Well, CPC is that we need more applications. I mean, I won't be on CPC next year, but there will be sufficient funds to do a lot of good things. So I think it's gonna be dependent on applications from across the town, and CPC's talked about marketing and letting people know, but I think also the select board needs to let all the committees and departments know that it's not quite open season, but there's be quite a bit of funding. There could be $3 million worth of available funds next year.
I can plan for that.
Yeah. I know there's a big effort in the community about the bathrooms.
Yeah, the amenities building, even though it's
Yeah.
before the town, it could come back partially funded through a CPC.
Yeah.
But the same thing happened with middle school. Middle school was capital funding, but then middle school came back to CPC for the athletic field. So part of the amenities building or all of it could come back as a CPC application. But even so, it won't take up all the money.
We should make a note to ourselves when we have the meeting, our next meeting, when we potentially have new people and pick a new chair, that we're gonna need to replace Paul on with a new group.
Yeah, that's
You
my
replace him.
agenda.
It's
setting.
like
Yeah.
Jordan, you can try to replace him.
Yeah.
And Water Pond, which also, that'll probably be done by we'll
We'll talk about that one next.
That's next, bit.
It
So
actually is on there for discussion if you wanted to for Paul's replacement, or you can push it to next time too, but.
Which for the CPC or the.
Yeah.
You think.
CPC.
Yeah.
you
Let's
could
do
I
CPC
mean, you could
first.
Think about CPC now, if anybody's,
Does anybody have an interest in?
I'd have interest. in that.
CPC is really interesting.
Is it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's fun, it's fun.
I'd be interested.
Pete? I think we should I would open the floor to nominate Matt for serving on the CPC moving forward. Paul, you
Yeah,
nominated?
second, yeah.
Pete, second?
Yeah.
You're in. I think that's great.
That was
You
easy.
enjoyed that, I
Yeah, there
remember,
you go.
I remember when I joined CPC, Matt Johnson, who was the select board liaison, said, Paul, you should do that, you're gonna enjoy it, I'm telling you. Because it's, it's across the town, it's
Yeah.
really a lot of important things,
And you got
important issues.
Yeah.
the one you wanna be on the committee where they come asking you for money,
Right,
rather
right.
than on the other ones. When you have to go ask for money, it's a lot more fun.
I'm excited about the next one though. Do you think it'll be done?
All right, yes,
I'm hoping
Warner's
so.
Pond, and we'll we'll do both Warner's Pond and Giroux, since we've tended to talk about the two of them together. We'll give you an update.
They're different. Let me do one response first. So, task force had the forum. And we've gotten all the input. And we're into deliberation. So the next 1 or 2 meetings will be spending, these are gonna be 3-hour meetings, coming up with discussions and recommendations. So I would say by optimistically, gee, I might be off by then. But by June, there'll be a recommendation, hopefully to NRC on which of the options to pursue. At that point, the Waters Pond, you probably don't have to appoint somebody to that unless it drags on to the fall. So won't you wait? Because I think we'll be done by the time I take my select board seat.
Are you gonna make a recommendation or giving 2 proposals? Sorry, I don't.
Where the task force, as far as I know, is gonna be making a recommendation
Okay.
to NRC, which are the options to pursue. And what happens then, whether NRC has to go before the town or, the next steps, NRC and town manager has to decide what to do with the recommendation. So that's Warner's Pond.
I'm gonna wait for Lee to come back, so we'll jump into, can you sort of tying back to the CPC discussion, the process, it's on the town meeting. The recommendations are on the town meeting, including our.
Yeah, the warrant article, I don't know what, for all the CPC recommendations, Giroux is on there, so that it will be approved at town meeting. And the funding then becomes available July, I think July and August, so at that point, I think Recreation Department's gonna have to put out an RFP.
Yeah.
Right, because the part of it's a consultant to do that first work, so.
Yeah.
I think this fall. Now, the interesting thing is because this has been compressed, the next phase of Giroux. You could propose it in the next CPC phase and have kind of skeleton, it's sort of the implementation.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all the details.
What is the timing for that? The next submission?
September 16th or something, to check on that. It's September, so it comes exactly on the heels of when the first phase is funded because of the delay. But I wouldn't put off a second application. I think about that over the summer. Because sort of, we know what that project is. We don't know exactly how much it's gonna cost or where it goes or exactly, but there've been other proposals that are kind of placeholders. By the time it would be voted on, you probably have to have more detail on that, so. And you have to, something to think
Time is
about.
voted on, meaning that the next CPC commission.
Right, so if you have
which would be
an
when?
application CPC in September, they're gonna make a decision by December. On, on the application, so probably by then they'll want more details. So you could put in a general proposal in September. Hire the consultant. Have more, it's a tough time frame. If not, it's gonna be put up for entire next year. So you really wouldn't have any improvements there until 2027, which is what we kind of said initially because of timing, so. It's compressed.
So I'm gonna jump ahead and then we'll close up with a conversation about Giroux, just because I know we have some members of the public who are interested in that. Our community partner invitations, I think we should wait until we have a new member of the board and have gone through that before we do another one of those.
Okay.
On the inviting our community partners, and just to wait till we've got people moved in and out and have our new structure, I think it would be helpful.
Okay.
So just to bring it back, because I know we have some folks from the public who are here who wanted to talk about Giroux. As Paul was just saying, we are waiting for the select board vote in June at the meeting.
Town meeting.
Town meeting.
Town vote.
Sorry, town meeting vote. To get the funding for that, which the funding would then, if it's approved, become available in July, and we would anticipate putting out an RFP and having a consultant on board in the fall to help us do that. Do the sort of community planning and looking at various options and different plans that we can put in that process that we laid out in the application. That would happen in the fall. While you were out, Lee, Paul was suggesting that we would then even think about September is when you would start thinking about putting an application for the next round, even though we wouldn't have any details, but we should think about whether that's timely and how that works. Well,
I would think that the new chair should probably talk to the new chair of CPC.
Yeah.
To let her, it's gonna be Eve Eisenberg. To let her know that that's what we're thinking, get her input to how to do that. Cause
Yeah.
I won't be on that, and I don't, there are a lot of details, so we're gonna have to get her okay to put in something that is
so
not.
knowing that we don't have all the details worked
Yeah,
out.
I mean, you could put in a budget. That's what the schools did for the Thoreau Elementary project. They put in an application. It was short on details. CPC asked them for more details. 3 weeks later, they came back with more details. So, but the first application was short on details. So there's some precedent for doing that.
Okay. So while we're on that, we'll jump ahead to the, I think we'll just jump a little bit out of order and go to public comment on that, because I know there's some folks that are, do you have new business that we want to?
I just wanted to
I
add one
do.
other thing.
I have
on
new
your
business,
vote.
but
Just on Dro, we are still just waiting. I know there's been some discussion about things like a ribbon cutting, all of that. We're still waiting for the official transfer to go to recreation to have oversight of that park. And the last I'd heard in terms of any sort of ribbon cutting formal opening, that would be done by the select board prior to them saying, okay, now recreation, this is your area to program. And Lee and her team are working on a rate schedule and all of that to determine what we'll assess for rentals and all of that. So that's just the
Pavilion.
only other,
we'll rent the pavilion.
yeah,
Mm.
rent the pavilion. So
What do we think that would be? Month,
Yes.
2 months?
I'm hoping it's very soon. Everything was kind of like after we get past the 250th,
Yeah.
so now we're past the 250th. Cause again, we
Back
don't.
to our regular
Yeah,
program.
there has been interest already in the pavilion, so right now, because it's just a regular town permit process, like we can't really charge a fee at this point, but obviously. In terms of the cost recovery and the long-term plan, once recreation assumes that it's like, you've gotta pay for things like extra trash pickup and, and set up.
Porta
equipment, things
potties,
like that,
trash
porta- yeah.
pickup, all kinds of stuff.
So that's the road it's going, but hopefully that will move
Picnic
along.
tables,
We're
benches,
close to.
placement.
I think the restroom should be open pretty soon. When are the restrooms?
The restrooms open, they're talking about changing that cycle.
I thought they already are open.
Yeah, I know they
They
usually
are-
winterize like October and open up in April, but Russ, our new facilities manager, is changing that schedule since it tends to be a lot warmer now, like they don't really
Yeah.
need to be winterized in October when it's still 80 degrees out. And then getting them open sooner, so I don't even know how long the porta potty was out there this past winter, but
That's super helpful too, because our soccer teams tend to do very well. And they're
Yes.
playing there and the bathrooms are closed, so it's a little.
yeah, I mean, they have the
some playoff
portalets
issues.
there, but I know people
Yeah.
would rather, and that's all in the same cycle, so it's my understanding when they're winterizing like the Giroux
They do all
bathrooms,
of them.
it's,
Yeah.
it's everybody all
Makes
together,
sense,
so yeah,
yeah.
Russ is working on extending that, because again, it's
The
warmer
DEP
longer.
sign is still there, the permit,
Yes.
is that
There's a few
because it
more,
still work?
yeah, there's a
Yeah.
few more things left, is my understanding, just on the
We
finalized.
can replace the sign, there's road sign.
It needs to be the green one with the white lettering.
I have put in that request formally again
If
last
not, I'm gonna
week.
get out the middle of the night with some yellow
Good.
paint.
Yeah.
So people
Good.
could see it.
Good.
You better put white out.
You and I, we'll go together, we'll
No,
make an evening out
I'll
of
get
it.
arrested, which will ruin my.
Oh, okay, I'll do it.
Before it even starts.
His initial act as a select board, vandalizing town
Defiance
property.
of all rules.
It's like that
Front
select
cover
board
of Concord
member-
Bridge right there, come on, that's great.
Select board members, I forgot what town it was, but they were out like painting the crosswalk themselves. I forgot what town that was, but yeah, that'll be your, that'll be your
I'll
thing,
do
yeah,
it.
painting the Giroux sign.
All right, any other new business before we go to public comment?
I just had something I wanted to share with the commission. I'm gonna use this opportunity to formally let you all know that the terrible accident that happened in Florida impacted our team at recreation as well. Hannah Wasserman was a lifeguard at Dee, and she was also a summer camp lifeguard. So the last 2 days have been very difficult for myself and a lot of our staff here. So I wanted you to know, Macy O'Donnell also dives for CCHS and Boston area diving and is active in our community at Dee and grew up being a camper here over the course of her life. And so several of my team have known her since she was a small girl. So it's been rough and it's been It's important for just me to acknowledge it, let you all know, that we have been sharing, some options for people to go get the help that they might need to grieve. And Lori Hunter, thank you, Lori, has invited us and our staff here to take part in any kind of grieving counseling that she's offering. Some was today and some is next week, but I just want.
Friday and Sunday, it's happening
Okay,
Friday and Sunday.
so I wanted to share with you so that you knew.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's,
It's really.
yeah, it's
sad.
been tough. But that is my new business. That's all I have.
Jess, did you have anything else?
Nope, that
to
was
come up
it.
On new business, any other commissioners, any other new business? Public comment? Mary? Anything you would like to add to our? conversation?
Name?
Please just
I know.
give us your name and.
Yeah, I saw in the house when Maisie was 5 years old, you know, and they wanted her, she was going into kindergarten, so it was like really heartbreaking for me.
She was on her way to Williams, she was a top
Yeah, she
ranking
was going to
swimmer.
Williams. I saw her dad at Crosby's in around Christmas time, and he was wearing a Williams sweatshirt, and he was telling me that she was going, and so. You know, it's just so sad, so.
And he said to me on the way over, if you would speak about it, she said, if everybody just give a moment. But he was
Yeah,
what-
I would have said
Yeah.
something, because I wanted to make sure that anyone who was having a meeting, you know, mentioning it, because it is such a heartbreaking thing. You know. It's one of those things that you can't understand really.
Yeah, in due time, if there's anything we want to do at the, whatever, we will make ourselves available
Mhm.
to the families in any
Yeah.
way, no question.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sorry, Connie, can we have your last name just for the record?
Yeah, I live on one.
Yvonne?
Levine.
Levine.
35 years. So
Thank you. Thank you, Connie.
my daughter used to work at the. Anyway,
Want to speak first?
yeah, I just have a quick thing to say, a question about Jerome. Because this is the CPC, the 90K application, September 12th, 2020. And it says, this is under project history narrative, it's page 1. There's 2 page ones, one that has the Concord stuff, and this is the page 1 of
Could you speak up a bit, please?
Yeah,
Thank you.
your presentation. And one of the things it says here is the second paragraph, project history and narrative. It says CPW is currently completing phase 1 construction, landscape improvements and installation of benches and picnic tables. So it's saying that these are, you know, currently completing phase 1. So these are supposed to be in phase 1. And yet they really haven't been addressed the way they were supposed to be. So one of the best things for people who aren't riding bikes or something over there is to have somewhere to sit down. And those stone things that they have are not comfortable to sit on, and they get very hot. Like last summer, you couldn't even sit on those, and when we have 100-degree weather over there at the end of July. So and the pavilion is done, but you know, the idea was supposed to be to put picnic tables there so people could have lunch there and enjoy it. You know, originally they were going to put more of those stone things there, but then they realized no one wanted to sit on those stone things under a pavilion. You know, the design, I don't know who designed it, but it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. So I want to know, you know, are we going to be able to get the picnic tables and the benches there for like the summertime when people want to sit there and look at the pond and you know, have lunch at the picnic tables? Because it was supposed to be done in phase 1 and everyone.
So,
else to answer that?
well, we did some temporary ones.
We have temporary ones there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
But
We
that's
had-
not what we're talking about.
No, and what we have been talking about is we put the temporary ones out when we have the design, when we finish our design process with the next piece, then we'll know where we want to locate anything more permanent, and we can invest in some more permanent
How
ones.
many are we gonna have there? Like, are we gonna have, like, how many
I-
tables, how many benches are we gonna have for the summertime? I don't care if they're temporary till you get something better, but the point is, something needs to be there.
They were
Otherwise,
there, they were there last year.
Yep,
They'll be back next
They're
year.
there.
They weren't there last year. No, nothing was there.
We placed them in the fall.
Yeah, they weren't there.
For
in
the
summer.
sake
I'm-
of,
Summer.
they will
There
still
was
be there.
nothing there in the summer. There was.
Well,
no
they'll be there next summer.
This summer, the six
We
tables, right?
kept them there for the summer, whether they're the best ones or you're gonna replace them
I'm
with
sure we can
something
do that.
else.
I'm sure we can do again. The ones we put out in the fall, we can put out in the summer.
It's
They're there.
fine, so people can sit there and, you know. the
They're
otherwise
still there and
after
they'll stay.
They'll stay.
They'll stay. The ones that are there now will stay.
That would be great, yeah, that's important, thank you.
That's a given. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's it.
not a problem.
You're getting easier off with Connie, so if you want to stop there, because that's not. I was involved in this from the get-go, and I noticed in some of the minutes that recently you said Giroux and Warner's are merging. They merged from day one.
Do we want
when we
names?
bought it. It's Mary Weinberg and West Concord. They merged from day one when we bought it. The person who, the company that designed was GPI, it was a complete fiasco. And as somebody said, who's very knowledgeable about this, until the town fesses up to the mess and the complications that has gone on from day one with Giroux and the amount of money spent, we have to acknowledge what happened and get on with it. So it was a mess. The company was top in engineering, and I have people who I know who are top architects. Their design department was somebody in the back room. It's a crappy design, okay? That's who designed it. Where we are now is that this summer, when I went out in June, expecting to see picnic tables and benches, I saw nothing. One of our top elected officials said to me when I was upset, now I just turned 80. I can't get into Walden Pond anymore. I'm on a fixed budget. I've lived here 46 years. I'd like to stay here. That was going to be a special place for me to go look at a beautiful pond, sit on a bench. I went to draw in June. I had to sit on the stone wall. One of our elected officials, one of the higher ones, told me that you have no say in this, saying it to me. I have no say in this. This is the town where we fought for the revolution for democracy. I was told I have no say in it. I gave different walks to people to show them about it. And where are the picnic tables and the benches? Again, then we don't have any money for it. We're all out of money. So I bought this to show you that what happens when you allow citizens into the project. This is what, before Paul, you lived here. See these pictures? You know what they're of? Anybody know what they're of?
That looks like a Club Car Cafe.
Well, it was a closed up restaurant, Greek. It was called the Whistle Stop. This is what West Concord looked like when I started to get involved. This is what citizens did because we were allowed to be a part of the process. If we had selectmen in those days who said, you have no say in this, the lights would have been from Fenway Park. We designed all that. He sent the plans to my house. This project has not incorporated the citizens. This community park, it's not BD Center. BD Center was founded by some very, as the director said, deep pockets. You have to be a member to join there. When you say community, when you look at that BD Center, they come from everywhere. That costs money to be a membership. Mrs. Giroux left the park for free. It's the only park we have in Concord. Concord has never had a park. It's quoted by when it first started. This was the first meeting. It was Recreation Park who started it. Recreation Park, who was down there, Recreation Park. Suddenly, nobody knows who's in charge. Like you said, even now, you said they haven't handed out to you. It's been from last summer. Well, we're not in charge because Public Works is, and the town manager, she's not. Everybody has been throwing it around like a potato, and you know who's suffering? The people who need to use it. I shouldn't look just at you, Paul. Everybody. This is. I'm naively doing research after the summer, thinking, okay. I tried to go to the first meeting in the summer at BD at 8 o'clock in the morning. It canceled the meeting. It was boring. Second meeting, you were having a capital improvement walk. the third meeting I came, talked about, isn't there a video here? And I thanked Lee and Jess and the director of IT, Amaya, for putting in the owl and the technology. So 3 women got it done, and Paul, thank you to at the beginning for saying we need it. I naively, after the summer, thought, okay, we'll be heard. We'll have a discussion. There'll be the public, we'll all work together. Never happened, never happened. When Connie and I were at a meeting, we didn't know that you were discussing what was going to be in the application. It wasn't an open meeting to ask for $90,000 for consultants. When I spoke to the chair 2 weeks ago, I learned that, like you said, well, we have to wait now to put the final benches in and picnic tables till after we get the consultants. This is the plan of Jerome. We did overkill on the pavilion. The pavilion is over here. Over here. What is stopping us from getting the picnic tables? Harry whispered in my ear because I was upset about the CPC application. I said, where's the money for picnic tables? And I said, Carrie, like Connie said, picnic tables were supposed to be in phase 1. Carrie whispered to me, we have $70,000 left over. Never, and I said, nobody ever told us anything. Nobody told us there was any money left, because it's not, this is not a 2-minute thing. This is what makes a community. This park makes a community. Beatty Center, yes, it's something, but there are a lot of people in the community that can't pay for it. This is the thing that makes for the whole community, the gathering. That's what I'm saying. You're spending $90,000 for consultants to analyze the soil, to do the canoe. And there's nothing to do with putting really nice picnic up. And the public is not involved. The public is not involved, and I spoke to Jess about this, and I said that, and Jess gave me the word skills. We all need to learn skills of how we communicate with each other. And I also thought of something for the first time the other day. When I worked in an architectural firm, we didn't, and the client hired us to do something. We didn't just do it without showing it to the client. The head of the firm was meeting with the client all the time, and we had to present 3 plans. We are the taxpayers. We are the residents. The skills, we all have to learn how to have better skills, but I'm telling you, when you're on the committee in this town, you have to remember that we're treated like you have the public, you have 2 minutes comments. That's not the way it should work. We shouldn't have to wait till this $90,000 going to a consultant till you get it all together. I know, Phil, you mentioned to me that you don't want to, in 2 years, have to move the benches. You've done it before, you have to move it. Well, you haven't given us all time to be creative thinking, and this is Concord. There's no reason, there are other ways to put a bench in the ground without putting it in cement. We can think of creative ideas. I'll think of 2 quick ideas, and I'm not technologically savvy, but I'm sure engineers are. There are tracking items we could have. There's maybe Public Works can think of something very heavy to attach it to the bottom. You are stalling. I'm 80. You know, when this started, it was 2018 it started. That's 7 years ago. And I still don't have the bench, the picnic tables. You know, it's, and I hear all these fantastic things about money, and the Beatty Center, and Lee, you're doing a wonderful job with all that. But this is what happened with the depot. We were the bottom of the barrel. This is what it looked like. And here it is 46 years later, and I'm ending my stay here in the same place. That attention is not given what it deserves. It's the bottom of the barrel. Beatty Center brings in money. The park is for us, is for all of us, and nobody's doing anything about it. It's very upsetting for me. I almost didn't want to come tonight, and I said, I'll just bring everything to show you a little bit, and I'll show you these. I'm ending now, but look at this. I'm gonna end it. 2022, unfinished Giroux, opening on hold. That was 3 years ago. 2023, whatever happened to Giroux Park? And by the way, Megan said that when I said I kept calling, and I don't want to keep calling anymore. I mean, I want to enjoy life, like other people maybe who can afford to go to Beatty and can afford to go to Cape Cod and have summer homes. I don't want to live like this and have to come here and pour my heart out. And Megan said that they're gonna open it up after town meeting. You know, the ribbon cutting, but isn't this silly? Isn't this silly? I have to come here and beg for open the park. The paper, the citizens put on this fantastic weekend picnic and everything. The paper didn't do it, didn't want to put it in, announce it because citizens are not an organization. We don't really have a paper. The Concord Journal would have put it in. It's a paper, it's not, so that's it, you know, I hope that we're not going to wait till this $90,000. It has nothing to do with the benches, the picnic tables. It's not a long-range plan. It's been a long-range plan since 2018, and, you know, it's wrong. It's very wrong. This is the community.
So
This is the most important, this is the heart of the community.
thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. For the-
Can I say something?
Can I say one thing? I think maybe what we could do is before, you know, we're getting the consultant, but before that, maybe we have like an open meeting to the townspeople to give ideas and feedback on Giroux. I think that would be a great idea, you know, it can just be one of those things where you write them up and, you know, like brainstorming kind of thing.
So a couple of comments, and
Yeah.
Mary and I have had conversations about this before. The town clearly said there's been a challenge with organizational responsibility for what went on there, and nobody's happy with how it all turned out. You now have a wonderful park. We met a year ago, maybe it was, I can't remember, when I first met you. We went down to the park, we talked to the Department of Public Works, we had members of the Recreation Commission and staff there. We responded to that public input by saying, hey, we're gonna step up and take responsibility for this park. We, as the Recreation Department, think this is an important asset that needs more care and attention. We stepped up and said, let's put in a CPC application grant so that we can look at the mistakes that were made in design before. How can we improve it? How can we actually get some of the things done that were promised to the committee? We stepped up to do that. The town is going to acknowledge that we have done that, pass over responsibility to us to do that. We have requested a fund, which includes a consultant who is not there simply to look at soil. He's there, they will be there to host public meetings to get input about how should we put this? Where should the trails go? Where should the designs go? You yourself commented that this design is no
Yeah,
good.
yes.
So let's have some, let's have some people come in.
Best out that we.
It's not about doing the town.
No, and we spend so much money on this, Phil. The taxpayers need to know that.
That's not an issue for the Recreation
It
Commission.
is,
The Recreation
it's for
Commission
all
is
of
looking
us.
forward for how we can resolve any challenges that were done, how we can do it right the next time, not go in and do a design that's just put out there without community input. We will have community sessions in the fall to look at that so that we can get it correct. Our staff have made huge efforts to put temporary tables, chairs out there. We will keep them out there until the next design is done. We're taking responsibility. We're addressing all of those things you
But
said.
no, you're coming out with more information now that I'm sorry, I'm upset, but you're telling me more than was admitted before.
What's
I've had these conversations with you 3
No,
or 4
not you,
times,
the
Mary.
town, that it is what it is, sorry, that's it. You have no say in this. For the first time, now you're saying, but the taxpayers should know that we're spending more money, another 90,000 for consultants to redo the design that the town said.
Can you call on me?
Paul,
The past is the past, and there's lots of mismanagement in the past and lots of reason to be upset. You're looking at people in this room who are trying to make this better going forward. And I think you and we should focus on moving forward and not just dwell on the past errors. We're trying to get the benches in place. We're trying to get the park improved. We're trying to get consultation. This is going to be a multi-phase project that the Recreation Commission, CPC, Select Board is committed to moving forward. And so let's look forward here.
I hope
And
you're.
the people in this room and others are aligned with your,
People go, well, this is the part was
A
saying.
consultant doesn't
You know,
typically consult with the townspeople, but I.
there are
haven't
public
seen one
consultations built
yet.
into
You
this.
guys have to arrange it so the townspeople can come before the consultant even
Yeah,
sets
this
foot
is
in the
it.
door and tell you what their thoughts are.
This-
That's so much more productive than you waiting for a consultant or, you know, to come and say, oh yeah, now we're having a hearing. Well, you know, you saw the whole Warner's Pond hearing, you were at it, Paul. I mean, you know, the people are in favor of keeping the pond, and yet, you know, the NRC keeps fighting to drain the pond, and Delia came
And-
right out and said it.
And you called them a partner, or as a partner, they want to
Where's
drain
the
the.
partner? That's
You know,
what it
unless-
says in his letter to you attached to this thing, that he wants to drain the pond.
Unless
Okay,
you
wait,
work
wait, wait.
together. But you, you
Let's unmix all the issues here.
in your application, there are 3,602 responses. This was in 2018, about what the people want. What's the primary reason to visit Giroux? Trail exploration and nature enjoyment, quiet relaxation, use of boardwalk boating.
That's right.
We're going round and round and round in circles. 3,600 people in paper and everything was dispersed everywhere, responded what they wanted with Giroux. You understand? We're frustrated.
We understand fully, Mary, that's why we're stepping up to
But
do something moving
we don't
forward
want
about it.
just you to step up. We want you, as I said, when I worked in the architecture firm, the client, we are the clients. You are, you know, and then unfortunately, you're also a citizen and you're on the committee, but you have to look at us as not being the public and will allow you a little response. You have to allow us with all the stuff and admitting it all was wrong. For God's sakes, the
I
second
was
time.
quoting you, Mary.
Okay, I, please quote me. At least the second time around, they say love is better the second time around. I think we've learned our lesson. The first time, nobody was involved and everybody blamed it on the assistant town manager. Okay, this time, let's do it the right way. As you said, let's do it the right way. Let's do it the right way. Let's get it right this together, but don't just keep the public out, keep the citizens out. There's a lot of talent here, but you don't, I told Jess, you don't know how to do it. I'm sorry, because you haven't done it in the last year. You haven't done, and you did the application without. the
Okay, just-
public
just-
involved.
We're gonna be hiring a consultant who's gonna be holding public forums. And people, and we're not, they are the facilitator for these public forums.
But you're not gonna hold the kind of things we're talking about.
How do you
We're-
How do you know
how do you
that?
know
that?
I've lived here
Well, have some-
35 years. I've lived here 50 years if you count when I lived with my parents. And the consultants do not operate that way. You can host
Exactly.
this meeting of
Exactly.
people. of
Exactly,
people.
exactly,
What-
exactly.
you
Nobody's
interact
afraid-
with all
nobody's-
these People, why don't you interact with them on your own?
Exactly.
Nobody's
Yeah.
afraid.
Right ahead of time,
They-
not after some consultant came up with something that's probably gonna.
That's not how the process works. The
Yeah.
process will work
You
to have a,
This work. It didn't work the last time. These consultants never, that they have hearings at the end.
you're
This
expressing
guy-
frustration, which is appreciated.
For 46 years, it's not frustration. We have seen it over and over again. And
I'm gonna call an end to this meeting. We're gonna close the public comment. Thank you very much.
We have
Um,
created-
For the
you
record,
don't like what we said, so.
no, we like very much what we like
You're
very
not
much.
hearing us though. You don't hear us. You don't hear us. It's back to the consultants. So.
Finding money. Why don't you use the sense that the people had? We had someone who, a landscape architect, Vicky, designed a whole thing to how to set this up. And you guys wouldn't even look at it. No one would look at it.
We
And
are,
that's not fair. That's
All are
not
not
fair.
hearing us.
we-
Do anybody else understand what we say? That before the consultant is hired, there's a whole thing with the Recreation Commission and the people to really do it right this time. And before you even think of hiring the consultant.
Because we're the
The
users.
consultant,
Nobody-
we hired consultants to help us facilitate that public process. We don't have the staff and the
You
team
can,
to do that.
you can have meetings with people to decide the ideas. I mean, I'm a designer, I've been here, okay? The ideas form what the consulting
Noted.
does.
We will turn and after,
this is how it works. We manage the consultant. we tell the consultant what to do. The consultant's not an independent entity that doesn't listen. We manage that.
Don't consult townspeople until after they have a hearing, just like you saw at the pond. That was a pond. We had the meeting, remember the June 20th meeting? Were you there as Harvey Wheeler? When the public gave all their information, and you know what? Delia refused to have it videoed. And she collected all of our notes at the end, and then we had to get them back from the town guy, what's his name, Nate, had to give us copies of our own notes that people, each table stood up and gave their comments. And they didn't want it on the video, so they didn't tape it. That's not
So
right.
assuming that the town meeting approves the CPC funding. Our agenda in one of our meetings after that will begin to look at scoping out the RFP for our consultant, which will include community input, which we will have a consultant help us facilitate to make sure that we capture everything that everybody in the community has. to say.
Okay,
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Second, all those in favor?
you don't need a motion. You just adjourn.
Meeting's adjourned.